Hello?
Hello, is that Mr. Baljit Singh?
Yes.
At this dull Melbourne office block, passing commuters are unaware that a major police operation is underway.
Hi, I'm from the Australian Skills Quality Authority. I'm calling because I've been asked to conduct a compliance monitoring visit of your premises, and I was hoping to schedule a time to do that.
Okay.
The person you can hear on this police intercept is BobbySingh, speaking with an auditor from the Australian Skills Quality Authority, known as ASQA.
He's quite an entrepreneur. If you ever meet Bobby, he's got a very charismatic personality, and he used to attract a lot of people into doing business activities with him.
BobbySingh is the owner of the St Stephen Institute of Technology, which claims to teach students here.
We saw very few students actually enter the premises, and we thought, well, that's a bit strange.
Federal Police Detective Superintendent Danielle Woodward and a team of police were investigating a multi-million-dollar scam to defraud the government out of training college subsidies.
They can then have students come in from overseas. They take that money and then basically tell the students that you don't have to come, just give us your money. So it's a money-making venture and it's greed.
This scam is what's known as a ghost college.
It's an organisation that ticks all the boxes in terms of its appearance. It looks like a training college when in fact students are not really there training. They're actually out working or doing something else with their time.
On the other side of Melbourne, BobbySingh had added the Symbiosis Institute of Technical Education to his scheme.
It worked very well with St Stephen's, and so they expanded into Symbiosis, and then they were going to expand again.
At their peak, these two colleges claim to have more than 270 international students and 340 domestic students, earning Singh $2 million in government subsidies.
What we found was the absence of students.
This absence of students can be seen on this surveillance footage from Sunday, 5 July in 2015. According to the college timetable, there should be 6 classes on throughout the day. But this footage shows just an empty lobby and a lone cleaner.
The heads of the school and the directors would go in and they'd potter around for the day and come back out.
After the ASQA auditor called Singh, he made a quick succession of calls to his colleagues. Police were listening. This telephone intercept shows one of his conspirators telling Singh, "We know that we are doing ethically and legally wrong."
Bobby was directing the group that the purpose of the school was to fool ASQA.
Before the expected audit, the surveillance footage then captures this flurry of activity.
What we saw was a whole lot of computers and paperwork coming into the actual institute, but then the computers actually weren't networked, they weren't connected to anything.
Weeks later, police moved in on Singh and his syndicate. They raided his house, seizing his Ferrari. And inside the college, they discovered bare rooms with little signs of life.
They had an elaborate scheme of having about 6 different sets of answers to all of their different certificates, which is a lot of work. And they would provide those answers to the international students just to copy them down onto their papers so then they could mark them and assess them as passing.
Did either of these colleges actually do any teaching?
No. There was no teaching, and there was certainly no students that were involved in any sort of actual education.
Federal agents discovered thousands of fake assessments designed to fool auditors from the training watchdog. Some of them were handwritten with identical spelling mistakes. Students who never even knew they were enrolled found their way onto Bobby's books.
I opened the door and they said, "We are from the Australian Federal Police and we are investigating a matter." I was really scared, man. I was shitting my pants.
Haripul Chahal is one of those students.
And then they told me there was this college where I was enrolled to do a course which I never heard about. And that's the first time when I found out about the college. So I've done a Bachelor of Engineering.
The syndicate had created a trail of false documents to make it look like Haripul was one of their students.
They had a copy of my driver's license as well. They had my fake signatures, which were nowhere close to my signatures. Then they had an email ID made in my name.
Haripul migrated from India to Australia in 2008 and is now an Australian citizen.
I was very disappointed because it gives a bad name to the community as well. And what's the point of doing it? I don't understand.
The international students who attended the colleges were also victims.
I think the internationals were really very disappointed. They got these certificates and then they're basically fake. It's quite damaging for them and very damaging for us as a nation.
Anything you do say or do may be used in evidence. Yeah, do you understand? Yeah.
BobbySingh received a 6-year sentence for his leading role in the scheme.
Yes, I understand it.
The police operation to expose this scheme was a remarkable success, but questions remain over how they were able to fool the National Training Regulator for so long.
You're able to reflect as you drive, on all the different industry issues.
Larissa Kernebone spent years working to regulate training colleges with the Australian Skills Quality Authority.
During my time at ASQA, I held, I think, 2 formal positions. One was an investigator, the other was an auditor.
2 years ago, she left the regulator and now works as a consultant for training colleges.
I think seeing both sides, I can see clearly the challenges that each party faces.
The regulator is cancelling far more training organisations than it has in the past, but some providers are successfully challenging decisions.
Obviously there is a problem with the regulator and the decisions that they're making if they're losing cases.
When she began working as a consultant, what she saw at a visit to one registered training organisation, or RTO, alarmed her.
My perception of this RTO was that they needed to be shut down immediately, and my perception was that they needed to be referred to the federal police. And this RTO continues to operate.
ASQA declined an interview request from 730, but said in a statement it refuted suggestions it made incorrect decisions to cancel providers or that it turned a blind eye to poor behaviour.
At the end of the day, a qualification is a promise of skills to an employer. And if an employer has a person in front of them saying that they can do something but they can't, what happens? You've got OH&S risks, you've got financial risks, you've got safety risks.